If everything collapsed tomorrow, most people wouldn't die because they ran out of food. They wouldn't die because they ran out of water. They would die because they prepared for the wrong fight with the wrong caliber. For decades, people were told one simple rule. Bigger Magnum means better survival, more power, more distance, more security. And that belief has shaped how millions of Americans hunt, stockpile, and prepare. But in a real collapse, that logic doesn't just fail, it gets people killed. Because when systems break, when supply chains disappear, and when resupply never comes, survival stops being about maximum power. It becomes about sustainability. And that is the shocking reason why the .308 Winchester quietly beats every hunting Magnum when the world falls apart. This is not a hunting fantasy. This is not a gear flex. This is not about what looks impressive on paper. This is about what still works after months of scarcity, stress, and hard decisions. Today, firepower breaks down why the .308 didn't just survive the Magnum era. In a real SHTF scenario, it outlasts it. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Magnum calibers were never designed for collapse. They were designed for ideal conditions, long distances, open terrain, perfect rest positions, carefully planned hunts, controlled logistics, but collapse destroys ideal conditions. In a true SHTF environment, there is no store to restock from, no seasonal sales, no shipping delays that eventually resolve. What you have is what you live with, and what you can carry, repair, and afford to practice with becomes more important than raw ballistic superiority. This is where Magnums begin to fail. Most animals in North America are taken inside 300 yards, whitetail, hogs, black bear, even elk. That reality doesn't change just because society collapses, and inside that distance, the advantage of Magnum cartridges shrinks fast. The extra velocity becomes wasted energy. The flatter trajectory becomes irrelevant. What remains is recoil, cost, and weight. The .308, on the other hand, lives comfortably inside this reality. It delivers sufficient penetration, reliable expansion with modern bullets, and consistent terminal performance at the distances where real shots actually happen. Not bench rest shots, not fantasy shots, real shots taken under stress, uneven footing, and imperfect conditions. But the real reason .308 wins is not ballistics, it's logistics. In collapse, logistics beat ballistics every time. Magnum ammunition is expensive, always has been, always will be, and expensive ammo creates bad habits. People train less, they shoot fewer rounds, they avoid practice because every trigger pull feels wasteful. Over time, that creates unfamiliarity, hesitation, and flinch. The .308 does the opposite. Because it is affordable and widely available, people shoot it more. They know their rifle better. They understand recoil. They trust follow-up shots. That familiarity translates directly into hit probability. And in survival, hit probability matters more than theoretical energy. You cannot miss your way to survival. Recoil is the silent killer of accuracy. Magnum recoil punishes poor positions. It punishes fatigue. It punishes rushed shots. In collapse, you are not shooting from perfect benches. You are kneeling. You are braced against trees. You are firing from awkward angles, under pressure, with adrenaline flooding your system. The .308 is manageable. It allows control. It allows faster follow-up shots. It allows correction without panic. That control keeps people alive. Now let's talk about weight, because collapse turns ounces into enemies. Magnum rounds are heavy. Carrying them drains energy fast. Stockpiling them eats space. Transporting them limits mobility. In a long-term survival scenario, mobility is security. If you can't move, you can't adapt. The .308 is not light compared to intermediate calibers, but compared to Magnums, it is reasonable. That balance allows you to carry enough ammunition to matter without sacrificing endurance. And then there's availability. In collapse, common calibers become currency. Rare calibers become dead weight. The .308 exists everywhere. Hunting rifles, military surplus, rural homes. It is understood. It is shared. It is standardized enough to matter when communities form and resources combine. This is where the survival angle becomes unavoidable. In SHTF, nobody survives alone forever. Groups form, families merge, resources consolidate, and in those moments, compatibility matters. A rifle that fires a common, understood caliber becomes more valuable than one that dominates on paper but isolates in practice. The .308 fits into that ecosystem. Modern bullet technology has also erased one of the last advantages Magnums held. Controlled expansion bullets, bonded cores, and monolithic copper designs have transformed terminal performance. The .308 today is not the .308 of decades ago. It penetrates deeper. It retains weight. It performs consistently. With proper shot placement, the .308 is fully capable of ethically taking elk inside realistic distances. That matters when protein is survival, not sport. Now let's be very clear. The .308 is not perfect. It is not a daily use caliber. It is not a high-volume solution. It is not the best option for small game or close quarters defense. It is heavy compared to lighter rifles. Recoil still exists. Ammunition still requires discipline, but that is exactly why it works. In collapse, the .308 becomes insurance. It is the rifle you bring out when distance matters, when authority matters, when you need reach, penetration, and certainty. It is not for burning ammo. It is for decisive moments. Magnums promise dominance. The .308 delivers control, and control is what keeps people alive. The industry has already acknowledged this shift. Short-action rifles dominate. Lighter platforms matter. Durability beats excess. The market follows reality, even when marketing doesn't. The .308 has become the one rifle solution for people who understand that survival is not about extremes. It's about balance. Less recoil means more practice. More practice means better hits. Better hits mean fewer shots. Fewer shots mean sustainability. That is why the .308 beats Magnums in a real SHTF scenario. Not because it is stronger, not because it is faster, but because it is realistic. Guns don't save lives. Planning does. And planning means choosing the caliber that still works when the world stops making sense. If you're still stockpiling Magnums for collapse, ask yourself this. Are you preparing for a perfect shot or a long survival? Firepower wants to hear from you. Would you trust the .308 when everything falls apart, or are Magnums still worth the cost? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want real survival logic, not fantasy loadouts, make sure you subscribe to Firepower. We don't prepare for hype, we prepare for reality. Stay ready, stay realistic, and we'll see you in the next Firepower video.